jaworskywellness.com.
Welcome to another special edition, our third session with Brett this summer. We did 4 last year. We're not sure how many we're going to do this year, but we felt, even though we only had 2 planned initially, but we felt that we wanted to do a third, maybe a fourth. We'll see what happens. And so we're happy to have Brett back. We're not sure how it's going to unfold today. I'm sure, Brett, you've got some ideas, but we're going to let Brett take it away from here.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Well, here I am at the session. Okay, first of all, I just, when I finished last week's session, I immediately had the thought, I wish I had another 20, 30 minutes. I kind of rushed it because I really wanted to put all the point into whatever time we had left. So thanks Steve for lifting that restriction on me, so we'll see where we go with it. Okay, so to carry on where we were going with this, how the principle of thought really is everything. It's what put everything together, makes sense of everything we go through as human beings. So I thought today I might talk a little bit more about the principle of mind and the principle of consciousness. I'm still in the camp of if you haven't had insight into any one of those principles, there's no possibility you're going to be able to understand the others. It really is a complete system. It is one system. Okay, so let's see what unfolds today. So we've spoken about the formless and the form, and that the principle of thought is the mystical bridge that connects the two together. And I've also been touched by people who have said, me drawing the big bubble called formless and the little bubble, all the different forms that we go through in life. It's one thing for me to say that the principle of thought is the bridge between form and formless. But for some people, and I'm grateful for those who told me about it, like when I actually put a line between the two, it did something for them. So however it conveyed, whether through word or an action that I put on the whiteboard, the most important thing is that you're saying something very profound for yourself. Okay, so today, mind, thought, and consciousness. Right? So we have the formless. I can't tell you what the formless is. All I know is that it exists, and it always does something very helpful for us. We also have the principle of thought. I put it at a rectangular block, no wavy line to imply the principle. The wavy line around formula is not a principle. Okay, and we have form. Okay, and the principle of thought is that bridge that connects the two together. Okay. As a quick aside, right? I do this. This, all of this as one thing is what I call insight. This is how insight shows up in you. There's the formless, the source of everything there. Goes over the bridge and turns itself into form. That's how we can get to have an experience of insight. So don't make insight the target. Make the principle of thought be your target, but not in the form. It's there. And then something from the formless can get through to form, and then you'll have insight. So I call this insight. And it could be known as other names like I saw something different, or an epiphany, or a realization, or a new perspective that I didn't see before, a profoundly different feeling. There are lots of ways of describing it. So this is insight. It's got three components as one. So the words of mind and consciousness come to. Okay. So if we remember the quote from Sydney Bank in the first session about consciousness, it was, forgive me if I don't get the word right, it was something like, you need the principle of thought to create the feeling and the principle of consciousness to be aware of that feeling. We can replace the word feeling with form. A feeling is a form. That's how I see it. Don't have to agree with me on that. So now I see more clearly that if I put a rectangle here, that's the principle of consciousness. Right? The form has to go into the principle of consciousness for us to experience the form, for us to have a form. So on one hand, we're actually living in consciousness, but it's taken on a form created by thought, through thought, not from thought, through thought. Okay, so we've got the principle of thought here and the principle of consciousness here. Okay. And where the principle of mind comes in is basically exactly the same with insight. Principle of mind. So we've got the principle of mind, we've got the principle of thought, and we've got the principle of consciousness. Very, very simple. We've got the formless and the form. That's all there is to it. You really don't need to learn anything else whatsoever about the principles. If you see how the principle of thought enables consciousness to have a form, and the principle of thought allows the formless to come in, and all of this is taking place within mind, then that's it. Everything is taking place within mind, and nothing is taking place outside of mind. Absolutely nothing. So that made me realize I think there's more to mind than I thought there was. I thought there was my mind, which is fine, but I was kind of limiting it to such an extent. When I started to see that everything is happening in mind, it had the effect of me having assumption that, oh, this is nothing to do with me. This is out there. This is not my problem. As I understood mind more, all of those things that were out there, I started to realize was actually happening in mind, not outside of it. The beautiful thing about seeing that it's in mind is that because when it's in mind, this is what I'm able to use. In other words, the formless start becoming a factor in my experience. Because when I'm outside, where the formula isn't, it's going to be really difficult. I have to think my way through that. I have to be healthy. I have to find positive feelings. I have to, all this prescription, doing, technique, willpower. Everyone else there. Here, none of that. Absolutely zero. So, mind, thought, and consciousness, the three principles. I'm going to do a little experiment now. It's something I've never done before. It might go well or it might be a total one for the funny channels on YouTube kind of thing. Who knows? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to rotate this diagram by 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay, with the principle of thought remaining at the center. Okay, so I'm going to just temporarily take mind out for a moment. So if we're rotating it this way, I'm going to put the formula over here. We have the principle of consciousness and the form over there. And you all see it okay? You can see all the red parts? Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to make a couple of slight changes to the shape of the principle of thought and the principle of consciousness. Looking familiar now? Principle of thought, I've done my best. My artistic skills leaves a lot to be desired, so to say. Right? Now looks like a film projector, and the principle of consciousness is the screen. Okay, so the formless is basically where all the film reels are, including the one that we had never watched. Right? It goes into there. And the film reel goes into the principle of thought. It gets principle of thought, does its thing. I don't know how it does it, but it does its thing. And we have another reel where the reel comes in and then goes into the other reel to make another reel, I guess. Right? Meanwhile, the principle of thought is projecting the form onto consciousness. And in that, and this is where we live. Eden Bowder came up with a phrase that was perplexing at first, which was you're living in the feeling of your thinking. And I'm going, what do you mean by living in? I wasn't so much interested in feeling or thinking, but I was interested in the word living in. So if we are living in consciousness, it always takes the form that thought took. So we have all these films in the formless, unlimited, those using the principle of thought onto the screen, and now we're living whatever thought has produced for us. So this is what I call the projector metaphor. All I did was rotate it. A lot of people try to just to make you aware. A lot of people, in my opinion, make the film reel the principle of thought. I say, no, it's not. There's nothing neutral about the film reels. The film reels are there so that you get to see what you see, you get to hear what you hear, you get to feel what you feel. There's nothing neutral about that. It is the principle of thought that takes the film reel, transforms it somehow, and then produces form. It does not care what goes into it. So if you've got a film reel with negativity in it, principle of thought, that's it. And then it will give you a form that has negativity in it. Okay. So I just want to emphasize, the film reel is not the principle of thought. The projector is. You can put any film into it and the projector will play it, regardless of what the film is. Steve, was there something you wanted to add? Okay.
Well, actually, if it's a good moment, just from where I'm sitting, and I'm thinking about, I don't know what anyone else is thinking, but I'm imagining that someone might be thinking, this is really cool. This is really interesting. I see now what I have to get on top of. I see now what I need to control. So please, Brett, can you tell us, how do we control those? How do we control those different reels that are playing on the principle, in the principle of thought? How do we control the formless? How do we get it to play what we want it to play? And the second question that I think might be popping up, or is certainly popping up in my imaginary mind, is, well, what are forms? Does form include my emotions? Does form include how tall I am? Does form include my behavior? Does form include, well, does it include everything? Like what is included in form, and what isn't? And I'd love to hear you talk about those two questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so the first question, how do we control essentially our experiences? The paradox is, the less you control it, the more beautiful your experiences you get. I know we live in a culture where you've got to do something, you need to be on top of, or there's something we can do. Right? But since we're dealing with principles, they are pre-existing. Pre-existing. So if I'm having an experience in this moment, there is something pre-existing that allows me to have this experience. Okay. And I thought I could do something about it. I can have a more positive experience, or even just look for a positive feeling. And then I'm on the right track. But something was missing here. So as I was learning more about what it meant to be living in the form of what went into the principle of thought, I realized this is the world I live in. I live in the world of form. I live in the world of what has already been created. I live after the fact of the principles, not before. Now, if I were here, then it would make sense to think, oh, I can control what goes into the principle of thought. But so far, I've never seen anyone able to do that. I've tried, heaven knows I've tried, but I failed every time. Every time. In any case, if I could, I would already have to know what the firm will contain before it goes into thought. And I'm saying, how is that possible? How could you know something before it goes into thought? It's impossible. It has to go through thought first in order to know what was in the firm wheel. So I got on board, and it wasn't an overnight thing. It took me a while. I got on board that this is where I live. I live in the world of form. Sometimes knowing it created from thought, sometimes it looks like it's got nothing to do with thought. But that's where I live. I don't live over here. This is the system at work before awareness. If the principle of consciousness is awareness of the form created by thought, then that must be where we are. We're not over here or here. Okay. So, and that's why, in order to understand your experiences or the feeling you have, whether positive or negative, the key isn't so much the formless or the form, but the insight that the principle of thought is included. It doesn't have to take shape as a projector. It doesn't. It's just we'll know through insight. Okay. What was the second one? Oh yeah. So form, a feeling is a form, an experience is a form, a state of mind is a form, an attitude is a form, a behavior is a form, what you see is a form, what you hear is a form, what around you is a form. They're all forms created through thought. I mean, right now, for me, I have a monitor in front of me with beautiful faces, right? But that's my form. I'm not doing anything to create it, but thought had to be included in order for me to use my senses. Without thought, my eyes are useless. Without thought, my ears are useless. Without thought, my touch is useless. So thought, it really is the central aspect of what it means to be human being. Thought allows the being for human being to be human being. Okay. So, but the effect of it is that everything in my life, moment to moment to moment, it's all happening within the principle of man, however it works. It's not happening outside of man. It's not happening over there. It's not happening outside. It's not happening in front of. It's all happening inside. The strain that we go through is happening inside of us. The inside creates the outside. Inside, out. Not outside in. Inside, out. Hayden Fowles has been banging that drum. Inside, out. City Bank said it well. Inside, out. All of this is inside, and it's still inside, but we see it on the outside. Okay. Yeah. Did that answer the question? Okay. See. Cool. So when I'm teaching the principles, right, it's very easy to get caught up in the forms of our lives. very, very easy. We go into the detail. Another way of saying it, we go, here's the form, and then we go right into it. We dive into it. Okay, it's a bit like if you're around a swimming pool, you can see everything out there. But as soon as you dive into the swimming pool, all you can see is what's under the water. Then suddenly very different. Or another way of saying it is, if you have a telescope looking into the night sky at one particular star, people take one step away. Oh my goodness, doesn't see the rest of the universe now. That kind of effect. Okay, so basically, there's only two things we could do here. We can either go into the form, not realizing it connects you to the thought, and therefore we start having personal thinking about all this stuff that we're going through. Or if we see the principle of thought, that opens up for another film reel to come in, and then something different happens. So if you're looking for an answer, you won't get it from me. You won't even get it from the principle of thought. But thought is the bridge that allows where the source of your answer to come from into thought, so you can experience it. Okay. So that's why when I'm doing my teaching, I'm not really interested in what your forms are. I know you have form, we all do. I'm not interested in the details of it. Okay, like I'm not interested in your problem. I'm not interested in who you are. I'm not interested in what you are. I'm not interested in what you have done. I'm not interested in what you will do. I'm not interested in how you feel. I'm not interested in what your ambitions are, that kind of thing. So for me, I'm not really focused on form. I'm not even that focused on formless. The whole focus for me is this principle of thought. Because when that is made visible somehow in your own way, the rest of the principle will begin to make sense to you. So I cannot be your three-principle teacher. The principle is your three-principle teacher. Because the three principles have the formless. It's there. That's your true teacher, not me. That's why I consider myself, I am not a truth teller. I am not a fact teller. I let the formula do that. I don't try and, oh, no, don't forget about the formula. Listen to me instead. I don't do that. So, principle of thought is the key. In another way, perhaps, maybe it's better just to talk about this. That's it. That's it. That's all I point to. There's a story in an unpublished manuscript that really tickles my heart. There was a gentleman who had a friend that is struggling at work, very unhappy. He would take out his unhappiness on anything he could find. The work he's doing, the people he works with, he was just unhappy. You can fill in the rest of the details, put it that way. Okay. And this gentleman had heard about Sydney Bank. So he went to go and see him. And when he met up with him, the gentleman explained what his friend was going through and asked it, what advice would you give him? He said, well, either he looked to the true nature of thought or find another job. I don't know what happened to me, but something happened to me there. I can take it even further. What I'm going to do is, oh, the person who is very unhappy in marriage and their spouse is being awkward or horrible or whatever. Well, either you look to the true nature of thought or find another spouse. Me, I've had it, but sometimes my football team I support is not doing very well, and I go, well, we need to stand this player, we need to sack the manager, we need to change the way we do play our games, right? Well, either you look for the true nature of thought or find another team to support. What about psychologists and psychiatrists, right? People who go to them looking for help, right? And they have sessions with them. Well, I've been having conversations with the psychiatrist or the psychologist for a number of sessions, and nothing that is not being helpful for me. It's just not doing anything. Well, either you look for the true nature of thought or find another psychologist. And my favorite one, last one, my favorite one, it took me a day to get used to being okay to saying it. There are people who see three principal practitioners. No, I'm seeing the three principles. They're trying to tell me, and I'm not getting it. I'm trying, no, something's wrong here. Well, either you look for the true nature of thought, or you find another three principal practitioner. I have a feeling some of my colleagues might not be happy with me saying it now. But okay, so you can see how there's a pattern here. It's always pointing in that one direction, the principle of thought. Okay, cool. I thought that was useful information. 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 Information is informed. Was that funny? I think I need to sign up for a comedy school. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Okay, so shall I open up the questions here, Steve?
Thank you, Brett. So for those of you who have been hanging out for the last couple weeks and are here today, you're welcome to, if you've got questions that you want to ask Brett, you can unmute yourselves. If you're on the phone, press *6. I may need to repeat what you're asking if it's not loud enough, so try to be patient with us. Sippy.
Yeah, maybe we could, first of all, that was excellent. Once again, amazing. I just want to know, can we delve into a bit of a scenario, and we'll just give one example of, let's say, either look for someone's unhappy at work or whatever it is. Either they look for a new job or they look at the three principles. Let's say they choose to look at the three principles. Could we really understand that? Let's see if we get insight.
The way I heard it was, we didn't know that there was an alternative to looking for another job. And Citibank was attempting to point that there's another way of understanding the human experience without needing to change jobs, if you'd be willing to look in that direction. He didn't make any promises that you would discover anything, but he just wanted to open up that possibility, which is partly why when I do my session, there's firm, and I respect that people have firm, but I'm clear that the direction of the conversation I have with somebody is not really going to be about the firm. It's going to be, it's more like, I respect their firm. I'm not ignoring it or rejecting it or dismissing it, anything like that. Compassion is still important. Right? So I get that part, right? But I know that if we talk about the firm, all we're going to do is prolong it. We're just going to go deeper into it. And I don't believe that's what we want. Because if we do, then for as long as we keep looking in the direction of a firm, we are somehow innocently blocking off the passage in which something from the formula can come through to the door and give us something different.
I think you clarified. It's more of a direction that will maybe give you another possibility, but there's no guarantee. Like, it almost sounds like a guarantee. If you go, instead of looking for a new job, let's say you look at Thor. This is not, it sounds almost like, okay, that will be your answer and stay in that position. We're saying it's a possibility. We'll open up things for you. We don't know. Is that what you mean? It won't get you deeper into your form.
We're not going into form. There's no need to go into form at all. You've already got form. That we understand. But if you go into it, it's a bit like going into a swimming pool, and now all you can see what's under the water. You can't see anything above it. It's like going into a form. So, for example, struggling with a job. I spoke about the haystack metaphor. No, we're going to the haystack. But the haystack is kind of taken on a disguise, like, well, if you come in here, I'll give you the answer. And that's what it looks like. And it's very tempting. It's incredibly tempting. I've fallen for it a million times, more times than I can count. Right? But as soon as I go into it, suddenly I'm in a world of darkness, of lustness, of looking for something that will help us, not knowing that there's nothing there that can help us. So that's a disguise it's taken. So that's why I don't encourage, it's more like there's form, we have the form, okay, cool, but I don't have to make something of it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to derive conclusions about it. Right? Because what's more meaningful to me is that there's form, but the potential for the formula to come through Thor to supersede your form or replace the form, whatever, is way more meaningful than going into it. Sticky Bang said it. Wisdom knows 1,000 times more than what you can get from the form. Or Emmylou Harris, the country singer, she's got a line in one of her songs with the shallow waters doesn't know what the deep waters know. The formless is the deep waters. The form is the shallow waters. The form is created. Can't get any more from what been created. You need to go into the before creation to see something new.
Brett, I don't want to speak for you, but if you don't mind me just adding something that I noticed that might be misunderstood about this anecdote with Sid, where he said, well, you can either find the true nature of thought or you can quit your job. I think the way that maybe some people are hearing that is, well, there's, let's say, a list of 6 things you could do. You could go for a jog, you could see your psychiatrist, you could up your medication level, you could have a meeting with your boss and work things out, or the 5th thing would be you could go look at the principles, go study the principles. But I don't think that that's what Sid was intending, or what you were even intending to convey with this story. The metaphor of the story is that there's either you could remain entrapped in the form of your life and struggle with it and deal with it and look at the form of your life for answers, or there's another place. There's only two ways to go. It's not like there's a whole list and these are the, there's another thing to do. You can go study the principles, another great new technique. He was saying that no, you could either go and discover for yourself, insightfully awaken to the deeper nature of thought and the role that it plays in our lives, or you can remain without that knowledge. And if you remain without that knowledge, it sounds like, based on the form that you're in, that you're going to have to find a new job. Like, there isn't too many other options if you remain in your form with the perspective of how you understand your form or your life. There's really only two ways to go. So I guess the main point is, I don't think that Sid was saying, well, you can go to a 3 principle program. That's a great idea. He was saying you could either actually run into this new knowledge that would completely transform the way that you're relating to your to the scenario of your life.
Fantastic. I appreciate you saying that.
Can I add something? It sounds like the deeper one looks in the direction of, away from form, like, that diagram, and they go more to like understanding the formless and how that all happens. Like, the deeper the insight, the more they can tolerate, like a person can technically tolerate life, and like really they won't feel fazed by not pleasant relationships or not pleasant experiences. Like, they literally sound like, wow, they have the dream life. It's like, I can't explain it. They're not even as fazed with negative, like, things are just, because the form goes like, how you made those bubbles, like in one of the sessions, where like when you go into form, it just keeps you more and more bubbles. Just one thought piles onto the next. That you're only going in that direction. It will just, it's so normal I understand it so much better, that how people can fall into traps of horrible anxiety or whatever it is, because it's that one thought that you're only in form. That's all you have to build upon. So you get deeper and deeper into it. So I'm saying that if we go the other direction and we understand and we're out of those bubbles of form, technically we should be able to tolerate life in like an unbelievable way.
Yes. There was a time before I came across the 3 principles. I went through a period of depression, and I don't know what happened. Funny noise there. Okay. So I went through a period of depression. I couldn't understand what was going on, but for me, it felt like I don't want to be depressed. I had a lack of energy. I didn't want to do anything. I was super lazy. I would cripple, essentially, and I couldn't make sense of it. And I went to the doctors, specialists, and see what they can do to help me. And because they were using what they know, all they could do was give me some pills, antidepressants and sleeping pills. And I was just, there was one moment where I was just doing a little bit of surfing on the internet, very randomly. I had no idea what I was doing, but I came across a quote that I hold very dearly today, as much as I first came across it. And that quote is, before enlightenment, I was depressed. After enlightenment, I continue to be depressed. What that did for me was that it was the beginning of realizing there's something other than depression. It was the beginning of me slowly withdrawing from the world of depression I was in. Indeed, it took me a week before I realized that I think I'm getting a little bit better here. I haven't spoken to any psychologist. I haven't spoken to any CBT person. I haven't spoken to the doctor. I haven't spoken to the people who give me pills. But here I am, out of nowhere, getting a bit better. I thought, oh, cool. What's happening here? How is that happening? So now this wasn't an overnight thing, obviously, but it wasn't until after I came into the 3 principles and learned about it, I was like, oh, here's a form called depression. And I went into it headed, brilliant. Now I'm in the world of depression. What do I do? How do I do this? How do I get out of this? All the ideas and techniques or whatever. Right? But because I started to see internally there was something outside of depression, I was slowly withdrawing from it. I didn't need to go into it first. And then eventually I completely recovered. All without the assistance of any medical professional. So insight was the beginning of that got me out of a world that I had no idea I didn't need to be in the first place. So now I don't recommend sharing that quote with anybody because if they look at depression before and after, and they're still depression, right? But the enlightenment part was the thing that attracted me to it. Enlightenment, and insight, a realization. That's what I'm interested in. That's the direction I'm going here, not the form that our lives have taken. Just quickly, I just want to share one more metaphor. Imagine, when I say imagine, I know this is form. Imagination is form. Okay. Imagine that there's an island surrounded by a bottomless moat. Okay. And on that island is a group of people who try to turn it into a theme park. Roller coasters, water slides, restaurant, bars, stalls, all the things that you can hope for in a theme park. I still want to go there. Okay, so, and there's also a lot of people there too. You know, there are people, there are security people, there are entertainers, there are people who are dressed up as characters, the kids can give them a hug or take photographs with them, that kind of thing. So, and they're all getting ready for the grand opening, the first day, and we're all looking forward to it. And I was there being the boss of the theme park, wearing, you know, very smart top hat and a cane sit clothes, if you can imagine that. And when it comes to 9 o'clock, the opening time, I'm looking over the bridge, right, on the other side of the moat, and I see there are tons of people all queuing up to get into the theme park. They're so looking forward to an incredible day out. Okay, and so when 9 o'clock comes along, here I am on the island on this side of a moat, right? And I go, come on over, come on in, right? And everybody's saying, what? How? Look at that. I don't know how we can get there. I'm going, oh, what? I mean, the bridge is right there. Come on over. Right? So I thought, okay, I better go and investigate the problem, see what's going on here. So I start walking to this bridge and start walking on it. But from the eyes of the people on the other side, they cannot see the bridge at all. So when I start walking on the bridge, it looks like I'm walking in midair because of the nature of it. No, as you go over there, I'm walking there, but because they can't see, all they see is me like walking on air, especially. But I didn't know that, and they can't see there's something there. So I go up to them and ask them, why didn't one come in? I mean, they did free for everybody. But sir, we don't know how to get there. We don't want to fall into the moat. So I take a look. I see the bridge, and they can't see the bridge. What's going on? Okay. Oh, you know what? This bridge is a magical bridge. It's made of magic. Okay? So just started to clue into what's going on here. I'm thinking, okay. So I thought, let me make a sign for everybody to look at. Right? You may enter the park if you have the eye to see the bridge. Okay? So, and at first, when they saw that, they're like, what? Oh, come on, you weren't making it so difficult for me. Wouldn't it be better if we just get them brick and cement and build a bridge to get onto the island? Well, at the bottom of the moat, we don't know where to build a foundation. Right? But one family had an insight, and their eyes changed. And then when their eyes changed, the magical bridge revealed itself to that one family. So this one family, the parent and the mother and the father with their 3 kids, let's say, right, all held hand together. Father on one side, mother on one side, 3 kids in the middle. Right? They all start walking towards the bridge. But for everybody out there, it looks like they're walking into the moat. Okay, so as they walk to the bridge, they're saying, no, don't do that, you'll kill yourself. Right? So, and then they make the first step on the bridge, and then as they go up on it, it looks like, everybody goes, how do they do that? They're walking on air. But they know they're not walking on it, they're walking on that magical bridge. And then they complete it, and now they're starting to have fun. Everything the theme park has to offer. Everybody else not happy at all. And then another family, they had insight. They, mother and father again, 2 kids, and walk to the bridge, and everybody else there, no, don't go over there. There. And then they go on the bridge, looks like they're walking in there. They get over the bridge, they're having a great time, right? And then suddenly things start to shift. More and more families start to realize there's something going on here. There's something there. The evidence is starting to become overwhelming that there's got to be something there. If only we could see it. But they started to look in the direction of not what the nature of the moat is about or trying to get there. They start looking in the direction, there's something there, whatever that is. And more families start to have insights. There's a bridge. And then one family goes towards the bridge, walked over, and then another one follows in, and then everybody starts following in. And now we've got a theme park full of kids, and everybody lived happily ever after. Principle of thought. Have that insight, and whatever's in the theme park is yours. Waiting for you to have so much fun. Nice metaphor, I thought. But at the same time, don't get caught up in the metaphor. It's still a form. You won't find the magical bridge in the metaphor. Okay, I think I'm done, Steve.
I don't think that we've had a 3 principles call that was as much of a carnival as today's was. So thank you very much, Brett, for making it light and easy to understand. Fantastic. I think we have time for one question. We'll just give a chance or one comment, really, if first person to unmute can can jump in.
I just want to say I feel like staying here. Thank you so much. I'm sad it's almost 1 o'clock. It was so excellent. Thank you again. It's like so brilliant how you express. It's like amazing. What a gift how you can express yourself and impact others. Through our own insight, obviously, but it's refreshing. It's nice. It's different, and it's so clear. So clear. Thank you. It's real talent to be able to do it in such a clear position.
Thank you. Thank you. To Steve, do you want to briefly repeat the question to become part of the recording?
So the question was, there are times that it sounded like you were insinuating that there are certain times that we are so preoccupied or enveloped by the form that it cuts us off from insight or from the formless. And the questioner was asking whether is that totally true?
Yeah. That it is not true at all. Because of the nature of where we live, we seem to have a strong ability to stay in the form. Right? Just bear with me for a moment. But I don't think we can keep it up 100% of the time. Okay, there may be a microsecond where we suddenly found ourselves not in the form at all. And then in the next microsecond, all we need is that 1 microsecond for the formula to come in, and then suddenly everything different. So the idea is that there's form, and it appears to have the power to keep you in that place. It doesn't. What keeps you in that place is the innocent understanding of the moment that the form has the power and the principles are nowhere to be seen. But if you have 1 moment of switching direction or switching direction, right, and realize that there's a principle, that changes everything. So the people who might be in it a little bit, or people who might be so deep in, they're contemplating things like, I've got to deport, or I need to jump off a bridge, or I need to, or this person needs murdering, or whatever. Really, really dark places, right? It can happen at any moment. That one insight can happen at any moment. That's why, as Snitty Banstead and Clayton Fowles as well, there's always a hope for everybody. There's no moment ever that the potential for insight to happen can be ruled out. And that, I think that's an incredible gift for those of us who are suffering, for those of us who have mental health issues going on, for those of us who have tremendously difficult circumstances that we're trying to get through. I didn't know such a thing was possible, but it definitely is. When you have hope and faith, what beautiful beacons they are. You can stop recording now, Steve.
Okay, folks, thank you again, Brett, for this fantastic presentation. We hope to make this recording available within, hopefully the next couple of days, and so you can watch it again and again, and maybe hear something new each time. And stay tuned to see about whether Brett will be coming back for a 4th week. But thank you again, Brett, for this, for giving us of your time, your knowledge, and your humor.
Thank you for having me. It's been a privilege to be part of an amazing group.
TverskyWellness.com